Hello, computer. No thanks. Stop looking at all this prompting. Amazing. Hey everybody. I think we are live. I'm gonna say yes. We are live. This is the Jimmy Doane Show. Welcome to the show. We do this live twice a week right here on this Facebook channel. Also, I'll post a timestamp copy up later on today in video format on YouTube, Twitter, Parler, Gab, a few places like that. And also you can find us around the web in audio format if you search for Doane, D-O-A-N-E with the Jimmy, to the Jimmy. So anyway, today is the 18th day of November 2020. If you leave us a little message here, we may come back and I'll try to check halfway through and see what's happening. Maybe get some feedback and input. Otherwise, we are in. Oops! Look. Oh, I thought you were frozen. You were standing so still.
Yes, of course.
You were doing the Guardians of the Galaxy thing.
Guardians of the Galaxy. That's right.
So
that's
still, you can't see me.
Okay, so about a week to go for Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Is that right? Or is it?
Yeah,
no,
is
it 10 days?
Yeah.
About 10 days to go for Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
7, 8 days. It's on a Thursday.
8 days, yeah.
Yeah, 8 days. Right.
Still on a Thursday.
Looking at, but we're going to have family, and we are not going to wear masks or anything.
What? Yes, huh?
No. Well, you can if you want.
We've got the bubbles that we're in. Everybody's going to wear a bubble.
Yeah. I don't think so.
And it's all outside.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right outside in this weather.
That's it.
We finally on Florida's winter is where it goes all the way down to 46 at night.
Bitter. A
bitter cold. I mean, how do you stand?
I don't know how people the cars
and then it today it didn't even get all the way up to 70.
Crazy town.
I tell you, who's going to go outside in this weather?
Time to go south.
It was right south from here, not far, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the good news is if we do it all outside, there won't be any bugs or anything.
You got that right. Yeah, just about everything. Now, just a little update on a couple of things real quick here. Bitcoin is approaching $18,000.
Oh, it's way over 18.
I checked this an hour ago.
What? Well, it got over 18.
Oh, okay. It was 17.9 about an hour ago when I checked it.
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure it got up to.
Gold has stalled out at around 1850, 1876.
Yeah, it's still wavering, waffling
in that area, and silver is just around $24 and change.
Silver's a buy.
Yeah, it's a buy. Yeah, that's right, because it was up there. Now, interestingly enough, a couple things. Mexico's third richest man puts 10% of his net worth in Bitcoin.
$50.
No, he's a billionaire. Ricardo Salinas Pliego, Mexico's third richest person, who said on Twitter post Tuesday he's invested a substantial portion of his liquid assets in the world's biggest cryptocurrency, becoming one of the Bitcoin's wealthiest backers.
Well, knock yourself out.
Knock yourself out. Well, one of the things you do have to realize is that the net worth, or whatever you call it, the capitalization of Bitcoin is only. In other words, he can buy it all he wants, and that might be part of the rise.
Right.
Him buying in. If you
he could buy all of the Bitcoins if he wanted to.
How many?
But there's 200 billion, I think. Oh no, yeah, 200 billion. So he'd have to have a lot of money for that.
Yeah, he'd have to be. He'd have to be Bezos rich.
Yeah, exactly.
But as I say, as the price goes up, the capitalization goes up.
It's gone up 70% in the last 60 days or something.
Yeah. It's been really amazing.
It's a big move, and sure, hey.
Well, this might be the idea. This might be the bubble,
the blow off.
Yeah, I mean, this is what happens. It really rockets there. I know. In '78, I think it was in 1978 when gold rocketed to 800. And then it dropped back down to 250 or something.
Yeah.
In about 2 years.
Well, anytime you get a 70% rise in 60 days.
This was like 200 or 300%.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying. Even this move right here is certainly.
Yeah. No, that's right. This is obviously trees don't grow to the sky, as they say. Now it's interesting. As crypto prices soared overnight, big investor, a guy from Bridgewater Associates, founder Ray Dalio. Now I had not heard about him, but I read a little bit about him. Apparently, big guy, big investor.
Yeah, you didn't know about Dalio?
No.
He's been one of the big guys in the news for a long time.
Right. Well, I didn't know.
Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
Should have known. But he says, I might be missing something about Bitcoin. but I wish you'd tell me what the deal is. And of course, he makes the same arguments that Schiff does.
Yeah.
Which is, it's not a very good medium of exchange because you can buy much of it. It's too volatile for most merchants to use.
Right.
But interestingly enough, there's still a lot of merchants that take it. What they do, of course, is what they used to do. What they used to do in Germany and Zimbabwe and some of those places during
They immediately convert it to dollars.
No. What they do is they used to get paid twice a day during the big inflation in Germany during the Weimar Republic.
Oh, right.
And so at lunchtime they would all take their lunch and go out and buy shit. And then they'd come back and work, and then they'd get twice that much for the afternoon and go out and buy stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they do is you convert it instantaneously to dollars or whatever.
Well, but the Bitcoin is going up and down, so you can't tell. I mean, it doesn't,
Well, no, but I mean, the point is though, if you look at it here, generally it could. I understand, but basically what you do is, if somebody transfers you a Bitcoin and it gets over there in I don't know, a second, and then you get it, and a second later you cash out, it's about the same price as it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, you're not holding on to it for more than a second.
Right.
It's not to say
Well,
that it couldn't fluctuate $1,000 in that second, but
Yeah, well, that's like Peter Schiff says. It's not really a store of value in any way. It doesn't have anything attached to it that's intrinsic. It's just a counter. And that's why the other crypto coins can supplant it.
Right.
And that's why the really good one that you want is Digix, Digix,
Right.
I think it is. And that's the one that's 100% backed by gold, kept in a Singaporean vault.
Singapore, huh?
I made that up. Oh, I thought you were criticizing my word.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I made that word up. I was sticking to it. But yes, look, I think you can trust Singapore to hold your...
Yeah.
And so that is the one that I think, if any of the cryptocurrencies, the other cryptos are doing better than Bitcoin right now.
Really?
Yeah, as a percentage of their value.
Well, that's because of arbitrage.
I don't know.
That's what happens. What you do is you buy one, sell the other. That's what. I mean, I'm guessing that's why it is.
Well, I mean, for whatever reason, they're cheaper. And I mean, not that you can't buy whatever division of Bitcoin.
Right.
But,
right.
I mean, there's kind of this concept. I mean, you might be able to see Bitcoin going up double, but it's easy to imagine something like Ripple, which is pegged at 30 cents or something right now, going back to $1, which is what it was at before.
Now, what is their
$3?
What is their total limit? Does they have to have a limit like 40 million or whatever it is, like Bitcoin does?
Oh, what their market cap?
No. Total million ever issued.
Oh yeah, no, it's something like that. They're all limited by the blockchain technology.
Okay.
Yeah, so Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin, those are some of the other big ones.
But as you say,
none of them are backed by anything.
Right. Well, when you come right down to it, the dollar really isn't either.
No, it's not.
No.
But Digix is.
Right. I got that.
And there are a couple other coins that are pseudo-backed by something, like they're linked to the dollar or something like that.
Well, I do know there's a fair number of foreign currencies from little teensy companies that quote have their own currency, but what they have in the vault are dollars.
Yeah.
So
and there's no reason. The real currency that exists right now is Digix. We should probably be buying some.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll give it a shot. So anyway, he said, of course, here's what he says. The same thing that Schiff says, not Adam Schiff,
right?
But Peter Schiff. Yeah. It's not a very good store and hold wealth because the volatility is great, and so it doesn't protect my buying power. And if it becomes successful enough to compete and be threatening enough to currencies that governments control, you can bet that the governments will outlaw it.
Well, exactly. I mean, you would expect that to happen. But that's the neat thing about having one based in Singapore. Right,
that's true. And of course, we've seen what happens when the government gets pissed off about that guy that was printing.
Oh yeah,
quote,
Von Nothouse.
Yeah.
And he was churning out real silver dollars.
Real silver, worth something.
Right.
And his mistake was what he did.
He called it $1.
Yeah, that reminds me. I was looking at a fellow who got. Let's see, what was it?
And a dollar, you'll remember, was a unit of weight.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's 27 grams or whatever it is.
Really?
Yeah, just like the pound. And that's how it started out. It was, look, just to be clear on what we're creating here.
It was 27 ounces of gold or silver?
I think it was silver.
Must have been silver, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I say 27. I just pulled that number out of the air. It's
Okay.
But it's some number of grams. You'll have to Google it to find out.
Okay. Okay. Grams. You mean? Wait a minute. Are you telling me that we were on the metric system?
I don't know. I have to figure it out. I'm pretty sure it was grams, and I don't know that the word came out of.
It was a German word, Thaler.
Okay.
Thaler,
yeah,
something, whatever that was.
So
I was reading something that there's a guy who made a big deal. God, I was just reading about him. He's all happy about going to jail. What he did was, this tells you, because you're
happy about it. Go ahead.
What he did was he was recycling computers.
Oh, right.
Did you read about this guy?
No, but I think I've heard the story before.
Okay, well, it's fairly recent. Apparently, he's going to jail now, but they don't know for how long, trying to get him out and everything. But he's all happy about it. What he did was he was a real environmentalist kind. He said all these computers are being chunked out, and he said what happens is a lot of times that when somebody buys their Dell computer or whatever it was, apparently that's the one that gets trashed a lot, and he was rebuying them up, buying those for nothing, scrap value, whatever it was, making them all work. And then he had to put an operating system on them. So what he did was, of course, they came with an operating system.
Right.
They came with a brand new, and it was a Windows operating system. And what he did was he would copy the original Windows operating system disk, the restore disk.
Right.
And he went over to China and copied 1,000 of them or something like that. And he was selling these things all done because he said, look, it comes free anyway. All that happened was that disc got lost.
Right.
So what I did is his mistake was that apparently this is what they really got him on, was he also copied the logo of Dell and Microsoft.
Right.
When he copied the disc.
Yeah.
He said that was his mistake.
Right. Because now it's fraud. Now it's
because that's
trademark
that's trademark. Even though
now you're trying to pass it off as something else.
His argument was, of course, it comes free anyway.
Right.
All that happened is I'm just so what he would do is obviously before he would ship it out, he would take the disc and reinitialize the hard drive and then ship it out.
Yeah.
But unfortunately,
I'm sure that story's a few years old, I think.
Well, it might be, but apparently he's spent 5 years fighting them.
Okay.
All kinds of money. I think this just came up recently because just now, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, folks. Do a Google search. But I think he's getting ready to go to jail, or just has.
Maybe so. If you said 5 years, you've been fighting it. That sounds about right in terms of when I read this.
Well, they were going to charge him a couple $100,000 for
per copy. Look, it's ridiculous stuff. Look, and the bottom line is that this is just illustrates one of the problems with patents and copyrights. And this is something that just clearly didn't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
He's just helping out. He's mixing his effort with the junk.
Right.
And so he should be able to benefit from it.
And what he said was, otherwise, it's going to go to China and go into a landfill,
right.
or go here into a landfill.
Right.
And he says, he's stopping that. As far as he's concerned, he's the good guy. So anyway, that's his story. I thought that was kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. The fact is that but as I say, he said, I'm willing to go. I got no problem with it. I'm thinking, phew, not me.
Well,
but his wife and his brother and everybody, they were all saying, we're going to get you out, I guess. He was sentenced like 20 years or something is what they're trying to do, the judge.
I mean, they don't mess around when they come after you.
No, they don't.
Finally, in this.
No, in fact, what happened was apparently Microsoft was not the one that complained that much. It was the patent office people, the DOJ.
Yeah, well, they can pick it up.
That's what
one
they
of the
do,
things
right?
That they do is they don't need the victims, and sometimes you'd think it's good. This brings up, the guy Blake who got shot 6 times in the back. Mm-hmm. There's been a plea deal in his case.
Really?
Yes.
And
he got probation, and they threw out the sexual assault charges, and the reason was because the victim didn't show up.
Okay.
Now the question is,
The victim's dead. No.
well, yeah, or did somebody intimidate her or something?
Oh, well, duh.
Well, maybe, and that's why the DA is allowed to pick up the charges in cases like that.
I see.
But in that case, the DA made the decision not to do it. So they err on the side of leniency, which I don't know. I mean, it's when it's a sexual assault case, it's kind of like, and the DA's not sticking up for the girl in the case. That, I mean, it's.
Well, now wait a minute. This was the guy that got shot 7 times. It was a bit.
Yeah.
Isn't he dead?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he's fine. I mean, he's paralyzed. But,
Okay. Well, he's fine.
Other than paralysis.
Other paralysis, right, from the neck down. Yeah, he's fine.
But the point is that it relates back, and from my perspective, I think that they should have to have a victim there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It always is. It is when they call it. Especially when the victim comes up and says, "No, don't charge him.
Right, exactly.
No, it's fine. I don't care."
Exactly. And there was a process. I remember they would let you fill out this blue sheet of paper in this one state attorney's office that I worked with, and they would give the victims a hard time when they came in. They would pressure them to go forward with the case.
Yeah.
They didn't want to drop the case just because the victim wanted to drop it.
Okay.
Because a lot of times the victim would be back a month later. The same thing happened.
Right.
Some kind of
especially
domestic thing.
if spousal abuse.
Well, exactly. And that's the kind of thing with this Blake thing. Are they going to get... Is this going to happen again? They were very serious allegations, relatively speaking. I mean, you
Well, if he's paralyzed, I don't think he'd be beating up his girlfriend too much.
well, probably not. And obviously he's got other things to deal with right now.
Yeah.
His fame and book tour and everything.
Book tour.
I'm sure. But
I'm just like Christopher Reeve.
yeah, I mean, he would. This guy, if he doesn't run for something, office. I mean, I don't know, but it's interesting that in that case, this one you were just talking about here, it's different, obviously.
Yeah, right. It is. So yeah, it is kind of interesting to see that stuff. Okay, I'm moving along.
Go ahead.
This is a kind of a little aside.
Mm-hmm.
The FAA has cleared the 737 MAX to fly.
Okay.
It's been about a year and a half investigation. After it was grounded, bad design, training, and oversight were blamed for two fatal crashes.
Right.
The FAA administration said on Wednesday it's cleared the way for Boeing's 737 MAX to resume flying, ending a devastating saga for the company. And that makes perfect sense. Question. You signed up and you look on the type of plane and you're thinking, I wonder.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll the next flight.
Max, eh?
Yeah. I mean, seriously, that's one of the things that we've also said about the vaccine.
Right.
Is okay.
Wait for Gen 2.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Well, a lot of that stuff, when you think about it, we used to say in the software business, you never buy a piece of software that ends in .0.
Right. Exactly.
You just don't.
No.
You always wait till it's a .1 or something.
Yeah. Now look, and I remember that, boy, when the games used to come out, they were all like that. But look, if you think that a company, an airline, is going to put up a plane that they can't sell seats on because of what you just talked about, I mean, that's not going to happen. I mean, this whole thing is redundant, the FAA and all this.
You're right.
Why do they need to do anything like that?
No, they don't.
Just
they don't. They really, it is, as you say, it is Boeing is not. They're not idiots,
right?
And they're not going to be put out. You just don't think they're. I say that, of course, but because the liability. Well, here's the reason why. There have been 1 or 2 cases with automobiles. Where?
Yeah, but those are that's the movie case, okay?
Well, there was another
talking about the flaming.
The flaming tank when they crash or something.
Okay, yeah, but look, it's super rare that you're going to get. And here's the thing: the bean counter was wrong. Okay, because the fact is that if they say, well, you're going to get these 27 deaths or whatever, and it's only going to cost you this amount, well, guess what? The courts take that into consideration.
They do.
And they can give you punitive damages of everything. So they can wipe you out completely if they decide that it's in the society's interest.
Well, the thing about it is, I believe that a lot of those kinds of cases are settled out of court.
They very well may be.
I mean, when the family is suing and GM shows up, or Ford or whatever it is, and says, "Here's $1 million, go away," and they say, "Well, okay," and they convince you, you're not getting any more than that.
I got you. And maybe that happens 27 times.
Right.
Maybe it happens 100 times or 1,000 times or whatever it is. But if it turns out that it's the case like the bean counter movie scene guy, and somebody figures that out,
right?
Then why would you settle for the $1 million? You tell your client, we're owning Boeing now. Well, you're in the airline business.
Well, they did that with the pollution thing, that movie about the pollution.
Right, exactly. I mean, the Julia Roberts one with exactly. And that's the way that tort law works.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why people have to realize, when they talk about all the harm that companies do, they're subject to lawsuits unless you have an administration that steps in and takes over.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times you'll have, for example, the EPA will step in and take jurisdiction over an entire area. And then you can't sue the company. Nobody can sue anybody. It's all up to the EPA what's going to happen to all the players involved.
Really?
Yeah, they just take over everything.
You can, but can't you step outside of
that? Not until they're done with whatever it is that they're doing. Okay. It's this crazy.
I mean, they're just jury and execution.
Exactly, and you have to go through all that stuff, and then
first.
Yes, and then
if
that's
you want free.
Yeah, no, and it takes years or whatever, and it's subject to all kinds of bureaucracy and everything.
No, bureaucracy?
Yeah, I know, weird. Huh. And in the meantime, you're living in pollution or whatever it is.
Or abject poverty.
Right. And so, I mean, at the common law, there were solutions. You could take the people to court immediately, and you could get injunctions immediately.
Right.
And they've preempted that with some of the administrations. So anyway, I'm way off track here. FAA.
Yeah.
I mean, so okay. So they said you can fly. Okay.
Yep. They're gonna. Now you do have to understand. There's like hundreds of them that are in the. And it's a fairly advanced plane, but there's hundreds of them like in fields places. I mean, they can drag all those out that have been remodified or whatever it is. I mean, and have them flying tomorrow.
Okay.
So, good for them. God love you. I don't know. I'd be kind of interested to take a look and see what Boeing stock has done. Apparently,
they've done pretty well on the airlines in terms of limiting infections. The UV circulation cleansers.
Oh, yeah.
Are apparently quite effective. And so the air on the planes is not as dirty as it's supposed to be.
As it was. Well, I can tell you right now from personal experience.
I used to get sick every time.
Every time. Yeah. Every time. When you think about it, especially if you fly overseas, I mean, there's people from 30 different countries in there. And what are they carrying? I don't know.
Well, and I think it's more probably that your body's not used to whatever it is that they're carrying.
No, that's the whole point.
Right.
I mean, if your body was used to COVID-19, you wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
As it is right now, my body's used to measles. I'm not too worried about it.
All right, what else we got?
Here's another thing that I thought was interesting. Trump fired the senior administration official in charge of election cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Just days after his agency released a strongly worded statement contradicting Trump's claims of widespread voter fraud and calling the November 3rd election, quote, the most secure in American history. Now, that guy's got to be an idiot.
Well, look,
he got
suckered into it. He got suckered into a statement, and he's a bureaucrat. How political?
He knows he's going to be out the door in 2 minutes.
Well, probably. I mean, look,
you have to know that.
Well, I mean, only if you understand politics, which
you're not in that place to not understand what's. If you say something like that, and you've basically been appointed by the president, and you say it was and you understand that
he's got lawsuits in 7 states contesting validity.
I mean, look.
And he's your boss. You're just like, hey, right up under the bus.
Of course. Well, that's the whole point. I mean, look, he's wanted on 7
but
systems.
Still, yeah, exactly, yeah. But look, I mean, to me, this is just more flailing around. I mean, Trump is showing his butt.
Yeah.
He really is acting like a loser and a sore loser at that.
Yeah.
In this whole situation, well. Do you got more on that, or you want to switch to the election real quick here?
Go ahead. I don't have any more on that.
Okay. Well, so I mean, now that we brought it up, the election is looking worse and worse for Trump.
Yeah.
If you look right now, you can't believe anything in the media these days, and
Boy,
we'll
that's the
get to
truth.
that in just 1 minute. But what you've had in the last few days is some real stark changes in the Trump legal situation.
Okay.
And that is where the big thing is Sidney Powell, his attorney, came out and said, we're getting a fire hose of information here, and we are going to release the Kraken, she says. That's what she said.
I know, and it's funny because to me, that we talked about this the other day about the word,
Right, some word,
and suddenly Kraken is everywhere.
It is everywhere. But here's the thing: if we don't see a Kraken in the next 48 hours, actually she's got time, but we better see a Kraken now, and it better be a big fucking hungry Kraken that's tearing shit apart. Because this just does not sound good. Because that's not what you do. If you have the Kraken, you just release the Kraken. You don't say, hey, we got a Kraken back here, and we're not feeding it, and it's going to be out in a minute. I mean, it's like, why? Just release it. Just get it. Just do it. And maybe they're getting their evidence, their ducks completely in a row for their lawsuits, but then you don't have the Kraken if it's not in the lawsuit. Like that's when you're writing it down in the actual lawsuit, and you're like, okay, these are the words that I'm using to do the thing. Then you're like, okay, now it's a Kraken, and then you pass it in.
Yeah, because anybody that's on the other side is going to sit there and say, show me.
Exactly.
I mean, that's all they're going to. It's going to be if you're going to do something like this, what you do is in Star Wars where they opened up the gate and that thing came out after Luke. You have to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's what it has to be.
That's what you have to do.
Because at this point they're saying I keep hearing these loser framings from people like Giuliani.
Yeah.
And even Trump again. Trump came out and complained about voter fraud, and the first example that he gave is dead people voting, and it's like, really, look, man, if that's your lead, that's your lead right there. You're leading with your weapon, and it's dead people voting. And Giuliani's getting up there and saying things like, we have widespread fraud and hundreds of affidavits. Okay, whenever you see, it's like Scott Adams points out, whenever you see lists, we have hundreds of things. Like they came out, Trump has 22,000 lies. Right. Well, okay. What's the worst one? Okay. And this is the same with the affidavits. What's the worst What's the best affidavit you got in support of this stuff? And I haven't seen diddly squat yet. And you know that the best one would have been leaked. It would just seem like so.
Like I say, it doesn't look real good.
No, if she doesn't ride a Kraken out from exactly. If we don't see Sidney Powell, leading and the creatures, everything but before the certification thing, then he's going down.
Yeah, it doesn't look real good.
No.
So, what else you got on I don't have much on the election.
Well,
I mean, I saw where probably in the next week or 10 days, we're supposed to start hearing from Biden's top level people. Top people. Right now, there's some underlings, some associate. What do you call it? Deputy secretary people or somebody that he's announced 5 or 6 or 7.
Okay. Well, I did hear Janet Yellen, Treasury, and I did hear, a couple other, but who knows?
Well, she's high on the list.
Yeah.
She's not there yet.
No.
But and there was somebody else that was there, but I mean, I'm sitting there thinking, Janet Yellen, that right now, might as well start stockpiling gold or something, because if she's
Treasury, do you think she's going to work hand in hand with the Fed?
Yeah,
is there going to be a little coordination?
You think? No, she's
literally in bed with the Fed.
Literally, that's right. Powell and you can just see that, because you got to realize that these people all they know about is printing.
Yeah.
That's what they do. It's just, they got no there's no, you're certainly not going to get any opposition to that from Joe Biden. No. No, I remember. You remember when the first flood came out? They called him Helicopter Ben.
Yeah.
When he was putting the money.
Yeah.
It was just the money was flooding. And I guess they're going to do it again more than likely.
Yeah, and I don't know if helicopter's going to be big enough. It's
No.
Schnooks and stuff,
No, it's bigger than that. It's one of those that can pick up. It's like that one that picked up the bus in what was the
right.
the one in with John Travolta. I think it was where they picked up the bus and went.
Yeah,
away.
that's the big super
That's
Schnook.
the big one. Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Always. Well, these are things that you have to know about when you see these movies. You have to see this stuff. You have to know about it.
Culture, man.
Yeah, culture. That's right. These are checkpoint questions. You have to understand. Okay, so you got anything else on the election?
Not exactly.
Okay. What I do have is, of course, about the COVID. So a little bit more about COVID. The New York City. This is interesting, and I was responding to a fellow, one of my very good friends, as an Apple II friend down from Miami.
Yeah.
Javier, and he's really good with Apple IIs, and I met him a couple of times in Kansas City at our thing. But he's liberal, really is a liberal down there. So he responded to one of my things about the COVID business, and he said, "Well, only ignorant people don't wear masks," or something like that. And I, because of we're talking about the lockdown or
It's a
something.
new study out today from Denmark.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what I did that today.
Okay.
I sent a note back to him. I said, well, he was talking about the efficacy of the lockdown. I said, well, I was kind of wondering why the UK, Spain, and Germany and Italy are relocking down. Is that is there something that we don't know about, or is this one going to work? And that's all I did, just kind of shoved it in there. But the thing is, you look at here, two things. New York City schools will move to remote learning only, as the city tries to tamp down the growing number of coronavirus cases. Mayor Bill de Blasio announced on Wednesday, New York City has reached the 3% testing positivity range over 7 days thing. Of course, it's time and time again what you realize is what you mean is that 97% people are just fine. But as soon as you get to the 3%, we're going to close everything down. And so unfortunately, this means that public school buildings will be closed as of tomorrow, Thursday, November 19th, out of an abundance of caution. We must fight back the second wave of COVID-19. Well, what happens if that doesn't work? I mean,
we're gonna fight some more.
If you don't succeed, try again.
That's right. Well, look, look. They are trying what they think is the best thing.
It's the only thing they know, though.
Well, right. That's why they're doing it.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But their problem is their arrogance. Their problem is that they think since they're the leader, that they have to do something, and everybody else has to do it also. And that's not necessarily the case. What they should do is say, we don't know. These are our best ideas. These are our best suggestions. Is you should wear a mask, you should social distance, you should stay away from non-essential things, wash your hand, whatever it is. But you're an adult, you're an American, and you probably have access to the same type of level of intelligence on this issue.
These are K through 12. Those aren't adults.
Yeah, but what they're telling the adults what they can and can't do with their kids.
Right.
And that's the problem. Is they're doing the one size fits all. I mean, did you see what Gavin Newsom was doing out in California?
I did. I think I might have.
Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Look. They're not going overboard. Okay. Just if you think they're going overboard, realize that they're exempting children under 2 years old.
Yeah. Well, that's one good thing. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you're 2 years old, you better have that
mask on.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember when I went over here the other day, two things to remember. I was here in Target the other day, and there was a mother there, and her little seriously, toddler, mask on.
Look, so here's the deal. I don't mind if you want to put your toddlers in masks, go for it.
Go for it.
But don't tell everybody else that they have to do that also. That's what this whole thing has gotten overblown, out of proportion. Everybody's gone crazy with the authoritativeness on, in terms. It's just the concept is, like I said, Cuomo and these guys think they have to promulgate a rule that everybody must follow. It has to be a law from the top, and it doesn't.
Well, of course, it's not. Obviously, it's not a law because it wasn't passed by any legislature.
Well, it's a rule.
It's a rule,
and
that's right, and it's enforced.
Right.
And of course, so Whitmer's doing it. I think there's 4 or 5 states
There's
now.
a whole bunch of places that are doing it. And I heard somebody saying, some libertarians guys were saying, well, they're not enforcing it. And it's like, well, yeah, that makes it even worse. Because then it's arbitrary enforcement.
Right.
And then you don't know whether you need to comply or not. It's like, don't make a rule unless you're going to enforce it. And
then, of course, what you find out is, as it used to be, I don't know, up until, in my lifetime at any rate, driving while black, they would always find something wrong.
Yeah.
And so, they could stop you anytime they wanted to.
Yeah, well, exactly. And so, it's when it gets to be arbitrary, then it's no good for anybody.
Now, interestingly enough,
okay,
here in our town, in Gainesville, the state has ordered every teacher at University of Florida's K through 12 research school, and this is over at PK Young, where our friend Jeffrey went. He's the one that puts the thing in the paper every day.
Yeah.
Okay, and so they've ordered them. They've said that they ordered to provide face-to-face classes and return to regular class schedules or risk losing your funding. So they basically said, you're open, you're totally open, and you need to shut down your off-site learning for PK Young.
Interesting.
No more. And this is the opposite,
right?
Exact opposite of what they're doing in New York. I mean, this is phenomenal to me. I just thought.
Look, in New York's defense here, I put up the numbers from today in terms of deaths.
Why are you defending New York?
Well, because if you look at these deaths, we've been reporting this going back to August 30th, about every 10 days, and you can see New York was at about 7 deaths a day, going back all the way to August. All of a sudden, in the last 8 days...
Wait a minute, that's October 18th.
That's not right.
Wait a minute, no.
November.
Look, I got news flash for you. We're in November.
November 18th.
We're in November 18th. Get you...
Hey, man.
What happened?
Yeah, what did happen? Don't tell me I missed one.
You missed like a whole month.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't know. This should say November 18th over here at the end.
Well,
but the problem is, where's my November 10th? And
way to go.
Yeah, well, I think if I had the November 10th in there, then I will not be in support of New York here, because what I was looking at was the increase between the 30th and today, and I was thinking, whoa, that's a big increase, but it's 2 periods. So
we're going to have to do this on Sunday.
Why?
Because this is all wrong there. I can't. This is October. It's all labeled all wrong.
Yeah, look, just listen to my words. This October 18th here is not October 18th. This one here, I can. This is, get that out of there. That's November 18th.
Oh, okay.
But the problem is that I don't have a November 10th in the middle here.
No, you don't.
And I know I've got it in here somewhere. I just didn't put it in the graph, so I'll have to go back and fix it. But I will say this. So
you'll be a nope. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Well, here I got another thing on COVID here. People always talk about that COVID is not the flu, right?
Okay.
And they always say it from the standpoint of, well, it's not the flu because it's way worse than the flu.
Really?
Right. That's always what the implication is.
I don't think it's true.
Well, look here. This is the U.S. monthly deaths per 1 million people going back to 1900. And if you look back here in 1920,
guess what?
You can see these giant spikes where the flu is. Now you see the 1929 flu, 57 flu, 69. This is the Kung flu right here.
Kung flu.
Yeah, that is. That's what
I love it.
And here's COVID way down here at the end with this little tiny spike, not much bigger than the 2018 flu season. So you're right if you say COVID's not the flu, because the flu was actually far more deadly.
Yeah.
And quicker too. I mean, the flu would kill people in a matter of hours sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, the 1918 flu,
I didn't know
they had stuff, people, like healthy young people in the morning would be dead by the next day.
Really?
Yeah, and it was weird in different places. They had weird symptoms. Sometimes people would turn blue and stuff, and their bodies would get stiff. I mean, all these crazy stuff. Now, who knows how much of it is 19th century reporting or 20th century, early 20th century?
Early 20th, yeah. I was going to say, because hell, the bubonic plague didn't kill them that fast.
Well, yeah, it did. But the flu apparently was just that bad in some places to some people. So
All right, well, I'll take your word for it.
anyway, the point is that you can't trust anything in the news right now. And
Wait, that's the truth.
So I'm skeptical of just everything. I mean, you just have to. It's almost like, well, we'll wait and see, and that includes COVID.
Well, let me just go on here. Couple of things here. A new study has found that immunity to the coronavirus may last for many years.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. The FDA approved a rapid test that can be performed at home, which is kind of interesting. Why don't, as Scott Adams said, why don't you ship those out? You're supposed to get a prescription for that test. And he says, why? You know, this is like a pregnancy test. You know, you don't have to, you do, you pee, whatever, if that's what it is, you sell it for, $1.
Well, I can tell you why, probably.
Why?
It's probably because of stupid liability and insurance purposes. Things that have to do with, look, you're giving somebody a test. So you have to take some responsibility for the validity or invalidity.
What about 23andMe?
Well, there's no ramifications. Like, okay, so you're Scandinavian instead of African or something.
Yeah.
Like, okay, big deal. But this is going to tell you something that you're going to adjust your behavior on. It's like a medical diagnosis, you see.
I see.
And so they want some sort of license to go along with it. They have to have some control over it. So they'll have like they have. You have to get a prescription for it. You know, somebody has to instruct you on how to pee onto the thing or whatever it is. And look, I'm with Scott. It makes no sense. Look, if you can give this thing to somebody by walking through the same area with them, then how come we don't have a detector that can pick it up in the same area with somebody? How come you got to stick something all the way up your brain as opposed to just, if you can't share a Coke with somebody who's got COVID, then how come we don't have a test where you drink a little Coke and you stick it in, and it tells you if you've got it, basically.
You've got Coke.
You've got Coke, not Pepsi.
Yeah, that's right. You've tested positive for Coke.
So they should promulgate all this stuff. This should further undermine the requirement for things like prescriptions, because this is a real health issue. You want to talk about solutions? What the task force should come up with is suspend the damn prescription necessity.
Right.
And
Exactly.
Just let people get these things for right now.
Yeah, they could certainly suspend a goodly portion of the liability part as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It comes with a waiver when you buy it. You got to sign a thing that says.
Well, a lot of it's interesting. Two things are interesting. When I was down in Central America and I needed a antibiotic, I just went and just got it.
Yeah.
No, there's no prescription.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, you just walk in and I was
You're just going to start drinking bleach or what?
Yeah, right, exactly. No problem. There was no prescription. I mean, it was really fun. I had to learn the word, but the fact was that it was nothing to it, and they had them. It was just there were a bunch of stuff like that. You don't need a prescription for.
There is no need nor justification for having one human allow another human to ingest some substance or not. And we have this entire hierarchy of licensed medical professionals that have to approve of your ingestion.
Well, it's interesting on a couple of things to say with that. If you want Viagra or some of these other things that you're supposed to have, if you can get a Canadian doctor to give you a prescription over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's it. You just tell them your name or whatever it is, and they'll send them to you. That's number one. And what's also interesting is I take a bunch of pills that for the rest of my life. But I can only get either 30 or 90 days at a time, and I have and when that runs out, I have to go back and have them re-up the prescription. Mm-hmm. And now I will say,
it doesn't at any cost or anything.
No, No, I will say I will say this. My doctors, they know, and they just phone it in. They're able to phone in most of them. There's one or two of them that I have.
Yeah, because it would be embarrassing if they had to actually see you.
Well, and they see me every 6 months or every year on some. In one case, they see me every year anyway, but it's fine. And then I get a blood test too, which is another thing.
Sure.
But I don't have to have a prescription for the blood test, although they do. They do send they send to the blood test people here, which is like in the drugstore. You can go get the little drug.
Oh yeah,
they'll
test?
take your blood and they'll send it off and everything.
Oh, you send it off, right? Okay.
Yeah, they send it off to a lab.
Not like you put it in the microwave and then it gives you some results or something.
Well, that's right. Well, and of course, I think what also is happening is that one of those things is that they're a little nervous if you bring in your quote your own blood.
Right here it is.
Or you bring in your own urine.
Right.
Hey,
Sure.
you're pregnant.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, more states have placed new restrictions, but some have stopped short of closing restaurants, as some states and European countries have done. Ohio said all retail businesses must close from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., which I thought was kind of interesting, which means that Target, I guess, is going to open up at 5 o'clock in the morning or something. But at 10, there's a lot of places, and especially when all the bars in New York, I think, are supposed to be closed by 10. And, here in Gainesville,
Yeah.
they start at 10.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care who you are. That's when they start.
I thought this was hilarious here.
Yeah, right.
So
that is funny. Yeah, that's quote outside.
That's right. And then they put it back inside. I mean, it's like, look, y'all. Look. At the end of the day, it comes down to we're free adults. We're free adults. You take your own chances.
Well, what's going to happen when they see something like that? They'll say inside or intense.
Yeah, well, we have to amend the law.
Yeah, we should amend it because what people do in the market system is they always try and find a way around it.
Of course.
I mean, that's what they do. Okay, I'll obey your law, but let me tell you, here's what I'm going to do instead.
We're going to go outside. Well, but the wind's blowing. Well, put a tent around it. Yeah. Okay, we'll put a roof on it.
The other thing that I've noticed, one of those things, just as an aside on that kind of thing, is that here in Gainesville, or I guess it's mostly Gainesville. I don't know if it's in Alachua County, but we have a sign ordinance that literally gets amended about almost every 2 or 3 years. Been for 50 years now. They started the first sign ordinance they passed because they're unsightly, so they had some restrictions and stuff, and people just all went around the restrictions, and so they had. Well, now you can't do this, and now it has to be this size, and now we had like double high, can't do that anymore, and then they had
neon, and I remember.
Then of course now the LED ones,
yeah,
that changes, and they're saying, well, that's disruptive, because they had for a while. They had them. They were they had these little triangles that would flip and make 3 different signs on the billboard.
Yeah.
And now, of course, with the LED lights, they can do anything they want.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what exactly what the deal is, but there's hardly a meeting goes by that somebody doesn't complain about it. They're too bright. They're too distracting. Because it might cause an automobile accident.
Yeah.
So ban it all. Anyway, to go along, Illinois will suspend indoor dining starting Friday, and Pennsylvania will require anyone who enters the state to be tested before arrival. So if you're going to drive to Pennsylvania, now I don't know if this happens if you drive through Pennsylvania, if you have to have your papers, please, showing that you were tested. I mean, and how long ago were you tested? I was tested, I don't know, a month or 2 ago.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, if you drive,
they'll have some rule.
But I'm just amazing to me. Pennsylvania will require anyone who enters the state. What the hell are you talking about? I mean, I suppose you can drive around Pennsylvania. Maybe up through. I don't know how you would do that.
Well, look, that's the way that it works. We used to have a situation, and we still have a situation like in New York. The gun control laws are so strict. I believe it's still the case. I think it's New York. It could be D.C. Anyway, the point is even a piece of a gun is considered a gun.
Right. Oh, yeah, exactly.
And so
I mean, literally, if you have an empty clip.
Exactly. An empty clip, a shell, casing, anything. And they would, every once in a while, stop somebody driving through the state and find some shells casings in their trunk or something and arrest them for illegal possession of a firearm.
Right. which is one of the reasons you never let anybody search your car.
Right.
Of course, I guess, well, yeah, okay. Let me ask you a quick question. If they get the doggy out there and the doggy barks, for something, and they said, open up your trunk because we think there's drugs in there.
Right. Guilty. Guilty.
Well, no, but there aren't.
Right.
But there's a drug. But there's a casing.
Yeah, guilty. I was skipping ahead.
Okay.
I knew
really?
you were gonna. Yeah.
Really?
As long as
they're looking for drugs and
doesn't
they
matter. As long as they have reasonable probable cause to open the trunk. It could be that your car, if your car looks like the one that's sped out of Los Eisley's with some smuggling some people,
right,
a princess and some droids, then they can look for whatever they want. Whatever they find is fair game. Because it's sort of the would have found it anyway standard, kind of.
Okay, I guess that, because I'm going to say if they...
It just has to be a good faith effort by the police.
Yeah.
That's why the people
I was just thinking if you had a dead body in there, for instance, they could probably arrest you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking, if they're looking for drugs and they're just a dead body, hey, no.
That wasn't what we were looking for.
Yeah, that was food.
Carry on.
Yeah, carry on. So anyway, the Vermont banned multi-household gatherings, and he ordered that, he says that the gathering, he just asserted, this is the governor, Scott, said he led to more infections than restaurants. He pulls this out of his butt or out of thin air. I know it's difficult and frustrating, especially with the holidays right around the corner,
it's science.
but it's necessary.
That's just science.
Okay. Yeah, that's science, right. So anyway, Fauci, he says that the entire nation needed a, quote, uniform approach. Well, now, what is that, do you think?
Yeah, they have uniform approach.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody must to the pandemic, rather than the disjointed state-by-state response. He acknowledged Sunday that that American families should probably prepare to skip Christmas dinner too.
Yeah, yeah. But when I see an article like that, I think the same thing that I think when I see any news article, which is bullshit. He probably didn't say anything like that. They're probably just throwing him under the bus for some reason. I mean, or maybe he said something remotely like that, like, if you're worried about it, then you should consider it, or something. I mean, I don't know. I just don't, like I said, I don't believe anything, and I don't care what, I mean, you're going to tell 80-year-old grandma she can't have Christmas dinner with her family?
Yeah, yes, you are.
Well, apparently.
Apparently you are.
But I can tell you this. I mean, there's a lot of 80-year-old grandmothers who aren't going to put up with that.
No, I know. And I can tell you that your grandmother damn sure wouldn't have.
No. I mean, not even close.
No.
And so then what you're doing is you're creating criminals out of 100 million people.
Well, of course, the cartoons are all out there now.
No, I haven't seen them.
Oh, the cartoons are great. Where the SWAT team is banging on their. Of course, we talked about this last time. You're not allowed to buy a 20-pound turkey because because you're gonna. If you buy a 20-pound, you're obviously gonna have more than 12 people. So we're gonna. That's the alert. That you have. What you do. Here's what you do. This is gonna be so easy. What you do is you get one of those little tracker things, and so every turkey that's over 20 pounds or over has a tracker on it.
Right. Yeah.
And
well, look, it'll just be your damn phone. You'll gather together at the dinner table, and everybody will get an alert. That says you're too close. You're in a group that
you have that. They already have that.
I know they have the capacity.
No, but I mean, there's already an app on.
I know, but you have to download the second half of it.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay. It automatically. You have to. In other words, you have to activate it.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah, that's right. I remember now.
So, but.
And why would you do that?
We're getting into weird. I mean, before we get.
Getting into?
Well, yeah, and I'm talking about that for me. Now you won't get this probably. Do you get this?
No.
Okay. See. This is the meme du jour of the stay-at-home orders. Okay, now this girl got famous in the weirdest way you can imagine.
Really?
Yes. Now this is the Cash Me Outside girl. Okay, Bad Baby is her new name. Now
what?
Yeah, You're not even.
Why do I not even have a clue about it?
Because this is so ridiculous. You're gonna at the end of this, you're gonna be like, why are we even talking about this? This girl. So she got famous because she was on a live TV show. She was on Dr. Phil with her confronting her family or vice versa or whatever it was, and she said something that was so weird that it stuck in everybody's head and through everybody, and she became famous for it. And she said, "Cash me outside." What does that mean exactly? What is that?
That's a Kofivo thing that Trump said.
Well, exactly. It's like, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything, but it actually means 3 different things. It's great. What it means, of course, what everybody thought it meant, which is "catch me outside."
Right. Okay.
Which was, he was saying something she didn't like, or somebody was, and she was like, "Well, catch me outside." Like, okay, let's go outside and fight, basically.
Okay.
But she used the word cash instead, or she stretched catch into cash in some weird way. So now it's like, well, get me outside and pay me or something. You know, cash me outside or something. It's weird, and of course, cash me out means, well, let me pay out now and then outside. It was just weird. So anyway, everybody was like, "Cash me outside." It was like Hansel. What what is that? And then all of a sudden she's famous for this one thing.
Holy smokes.
And then somebody gave her like a rap deal or something.
No.
Oh yeah, no. She's famous, rich and famous. Won the world. But it's hilarious because it was just literally just the bratty remark of, "Oh yeah? Well, cash me outside," and so anyway, that's what people are telling Gavin Newsom right now is.
Oh gosh, that is great.
Stay inside. Okay, well, how about this?
Catch me outside.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is funny. That reminded me of something else, and I forgot what it was. Okay, just about done. It was interesting. There's a Danish study suggested masks do little to stop COVID. As the Iowa governor insists there's evidence on both sides, whatever that means. A massive Danish study on mask usage found no statistically significant difference on coronavirus infection rates between mask wearers and non-mask wearers. In fact, according to the data, mask usage may actually increase the likelihood of infection. I've seen that kind of stuff on another study a month ago.
Right.
And so what I'm saying is that this is the confusopoly that goes on here. This is a big, massive Danish study. And then other people are saying, no, one of the memes is, well, if you piss on somebody's leg and they're both wearing pants, oh my God, just you're sitting there.
Yeah, except for the piss, it's more like the vaping one. This is the one that I see.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's some guys, and one guy takes a vape through his mask, and then he breathes, and of course it's everywhere.
Okay.
And yeah, look, if you're gonna cough, it stops the loogie from and it stops the projected stuff. But if you're in proximity with someone for any more than a couple of minutes, I mean, all you have to do is just give yourselves a couple of cigarettes and then hang out with somebody for a minute, or give one person a cigarette. And do you smell smoke in a few minutes?
Boy, you sure do.
Like in no time.
It's interesting. Since I stopped smoking, when I've gone into a store before, and I can tell that sometime in the last hour, there was somebody outside smoking.
Right.
It lingers that long.
So there you go. And if that lingers that long, the chances are that...
you can't see it, but
right. Now look, so from my perspective, there's probably some minor benefit and whatever, but it's more like the placebo thing, But there may be some, but even so, it should be up to individual adults. That's just what...
If you get a chance,
if you're a free American, you get to decide. That's just all there is to it.
Right, and I'll tell you, one of the big guys that espouses all of this stuff is Ron Paul. Mm-hmm. At noon every day, or 5 days a week, Ron Paul has a Liberty Forum thing
Liberty Report.
On his Liberty Report.
I've seen it a few times.
Well, he's on from 12 to 12:30, 5 days a week. And lately, he's been all over this this COVID business and the tyranny that's going along with it. He is really, because he's kind of a libertarian guy, but he really
totally, yeah.
and he talks to his friend, a couple of people that are Mick Adams, right, and he's with the Mises Institute or something like that. So, but I mean, if you get a chance, he makes a pretty valid case for this stuff.
And he's a doctor.
And he's a doctor. That's right. And his son's Rand Paul's dad. Interestingly enough, Senator Grassley, 87 years old, tested positive. They don't know where he got it, has no idea. He's self-quarantining, and he says, but he expects to go back to his normal schedule. He's been a senator for like 40 years or 30 years or something. I mean, he's from Iowa. Well, interesting.
Aren't you going to talk about the full Grassley?
No. The full Grassley?
Never mind. Keep going.
Oh, good. So anyway, he's accepted. But I thought it was interesting that there was something else about Iowa. I forget what it was. Someplace in Iowa they're closing down. That was one of the states that's getting ready to close down. But he's quarantining in his home in Virginia.
Okay.
So he's not going to go back to Iowa. So
okay.
The last thing I've got, or it's 5:00 now, which I thought was kind of interesting. This is the largest distribution ever. I thought this was really good. Thousands of cars lined up at a Texas food bank.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I saw the picture, and literally, it was longer than any line. Now, I remember when they used to line up for gas during the gas things,
Yeah.
Well, this was like 2, 3, 4 miles long waiting. And what they're doing is, according to CBS, the North Texas Food Bank handed out more than 600,000 pounds of food this past weekend to 25,000 hungry people. This is 25,000. I don't know if there's 25. I'm guessing there's 25,000 cars that all had to drive by there. Okay, wait a minute. Here's the deal. You notice they're driving.
Yeah.
It's not like they're walking. When you see the stuff from the 30s in the soup line, they're physically lined up, but these are driving in their cars.
Yeah.
How bad can it be?
Well, and they're getting loaded up here.
I know.
You can't tell from, I mean, it looks like these pictures are connected, but you can't tell if these cars are all just in line for a concert or something. I mean, there's no way to, like I said, these days I don't believe a damn thing I see on the media. And it's really getting, it
is kind of sad.
It's crazy. I mean, look, I've changed actually my view on the media, on the mainstream media in the last few days.
Really?
Yes.
I changed mine about 5 years ago. But
well, I mean, look, I mean, the first thing was, I mean, I haven't read the media with a grain of salt for decades.
Right.
Like you said, about 2010, the paradigm changed completely with the proliferation of the internet.
Right.
And the explosion of the market, of the potential consumer market for news. And it seemed to me like all the mainstream media switched to sensationalism. They all went to the Star, National Enquirer.
Well, and if it bleeds, it leads.
I'm with you. But it's changed again.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
To
well, honestly, and I'll provide some evidence for this. Up until it's no longer it bleeds, it leads. They actually have an agenda now.
Okay.
And the agenda seems to be the Democratic platform.
Really?
Yes.
And I think it's fear mongering more than anything else.
Well, let me give you an example.
Okay.
And I'm with you there. And like I said, up until just 2 days ago, I thought it was just all fear mongering. It's whatever. Like you said, if it bleeds, it leads. We need to sell some papers. Let's get this shit out the door. Okay. Now, but if that were the case, you would expect a switch over to some vitriol towards the new leaders. That is, towards Biden and the camp. And maybe we're just not there yet because
we're not there yet. That's the thing. It's too soon.
Maybe so. But you would expect that. And here's the thing, though. We see, like, for example, a news story this week was COVID patients on their deathbed expressed disbelief in COVID. Right? This was a story that I saw, some headline, and it was, and the nurse came out and said, "Oh my God, it's so tragic because we put these people in there and they're dying, and their last words are, I can't believe it's COVID. It can't be COVID. I don't have COVID. It's just I don't believe it. I don't believe it." And I'm thinking, okay, so this is a fear. This is fear mongering. This is just, okay, you're telling people that this thing that you might not think is so bad is really so bad it'll kill you. That's what you're trying to convey. But then they went further and they said, And their last few moments, instead of spending it with their loved ones, is full of anger and hatred. Now, who do you suppose the anger and hatred is directed at?
Trump.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, in other words, it's turned from a tragedy into a tragedy with a political agenda.
Okay.
And I see this everywhere. I mean, the CBS, did you see the CBS, the Obama 60 Minutes thing?
No.
So Obama just he's got his new book out, his new memoir.
Really?
Yeah. 750
I'm so
pages.
far behind. I mean, why is this called the Jimmy Doane Show?
I don't know. Aren't you? You got to be on Twitter because all the news comes through Twitter.
It's amazing because I get on Twitter every once in a while, but to me it's just there's so much there.
You got to follow the right people
Well,
so that the feed comes through in a decent way. And because I had horrible feed for a long time, and then I got on a few of the trains and got the right group, and now I get a lot of diverse news from all angles, and so it's kind of neat. But this
you're gonna have to set up my feed.
Obama goes on 60 Minutes. He's got a 750-page memoir, and the interview was so obsequious. I mean, it was such a kiss ass.
Yeah.
Like if you had seen this in a movie, it was Scott Pelley interviewing Obama, and I'm not even joking when I say if you'd seen it in a movie, the setup would have been Scott Pelley is a gay guy and he's hitting on Obama. Because that's how much of a suck-up he was during the interview. It was like, dude, don't kiss him on the lips, okay?
Okay.
Like, you back off just a little bit here. It was so suck-uppy. And then Obama used his time to go after Trump some more.
Okay.
And he would say things, these like vague. He says these vague attacks, which are very good. He'll say something like the people have a sense of the way that Trump has violated our norms and undermined our procedures and the things we expect from government. And then he says. I can do anything to stay in power. I can suppress journalists, kill people. I can rig elections, but that's not who we're supposed to be. He says these things. I mean, like. It's an all-out attack, and I'm thinking, why are they even messing with Trump at this point? They've already beat him.
It's interesting you should say that, but I think you're right about one thing, and that's what my first question is, because here in our local rag, our local mullet rapper, they're still going after him, and I think that they're the whole idea is I had thought that maybe you got to ask yourself. There's a couple of little deadline days,
right?
And I'm guessing that maybe. On December 15th,
right?
It'll quit.
Right.
It'll certainly quit after the 20th of January, you'd think.
Yeah. Well, if that'll be the measure, is if the media turns on the current administration.
Well, not only that, what I'm going to see is not so much that, but that they continue on with how bad Trump is after he's gone.
Well, they do that with every president.
Do they?
Yeah, remember? I mean, for like at least a couple of years into the next presidency, it's they saddled me with this. Look what George Bush left me, and and then it was Obama left us in this thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
all right.
They always do that because everybody runs on change. For the last 5 presidencies.
Yeah, that's right.
And so that's the way you get out of it. I haven't changed so much is because the last guy left me in such a deep hole. But I've seen so much in the media this week that supports a narrative as opposed to just bleedy stuff. I've seen these weird the big article about body positive stuff. There's this, who Lizzo is?
No.
Okay, Lizzo is this singer. She's this hugely fat singer. Okay. So she just did a photo shoot in a bikini.
Okay.
And exactly. And it's as bad as you can possibly imagine it being. And the comments are stuff like, "You go, girl. Slay, queen. You're killing it. You're beautiful. Oh my God." And the headline was literally like, "Oh my God, you're such a goddess." And I'm thinking, geez, I mean, that's just not even healthy. I mean, you can't, that's unhealthy. It just is. This
is like the emperor's new clothes or something?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at. Is I'm looking at news like they had this week. Literally, I mean, on Drudge, Trump concedes election. Trump admits Biden won. And then it was Biden won, ... It wasn't even ... It was by stealing the election. I mean, they literally just reversed what he said.
Huh.
And, you know, it's just weird how much just upside down news there is right now. We said there was going to be that up until the election,
right?
And maybe the election is not quite over yet.
That's the thing.
It could be all a CYA campaign for just in case Trump tries to pull something out here at the last second.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. They're not going to let it go. Look, it's 24-hour news cycle, and you got how many news channels?
I know, but
they all have to sit there and do something.
Yeah, but it seemed to me a lot more directed this week than I would have expected. I mean, that's all.
I haven't so much noticed that. I refuse to watch some of this stuff anymore. I really like.
I mean, I just see clips here and there. It's not like I watch a whole news.
Well,
program
I used to watch. I used to watch Rachel Maddow some to get, because she's just strictly entertainment. I mean, of course, but these people, as you say, they have no shame. And the fact is, they can be like Schiff is another. Adam Schiff is another one. That when you absolutely, I've got the evidence right here in my hand. Well, then you didn't,
and it's gone.
And it's gone. Right, and it's gone.
Well, I expect that from certain political people, but
it's so blatant now. I mean,
it is. But I like I said, I've noticed it more in the media as a direction as opposed to just chaos.
I guess a lot of it. Remember now, this is all driven by advertising and by eyeballs, and so what they are doing is they're flailing around a little bit, but there are people that are the heads up there that are telling them how to talk and what to say and so forth, and those stories are vetted in order to make sure that people will watch.
Yeah.
And because they have to watch it through the ads.
And look, I don't care. I mean, if they all turn into the National Enquirer, that's fine with me. I mean, nobody picks up the Enquirer and goes, "Oh my God, aliens landed in Central Park today."
Well.
And and by the same token, if you pick up the New York Times and it says people are dropping like flies from COVID, you should be like, okay, let's look into this.
Yeah.
Not like, oh my God, it's happening.
Well, you do know that what they do have, it is interesting because they'll say, like here in Florida, there's 1,000 new cases, and you're thinking, okay, then what does that mean? I mean, okay, you tested, and how many people died from that?
Right. Well, it's getting like that. Like I said, I saw another one that said doctors say children are vulnerable to COVID, in some specific way. And it was like, okay, well, like what, like 2 doctors over here, or like all doctors? I mean, what do you? And it's made out to influence your opinion more than, like I said, more so than even drive a click. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm starting to think that the people who own the media companies are not so concerned about their money as they are with some sort of political agenda. At least a few of them.
Well, they got to answer to their shareholders one way or the other at one point.
Maybe, but it just seems more, like I said, the jury's out for another few weeks until the election clears all up.
Yeah.
And then we'll know for sure.
Yeah.
I think. But all right. Anyway, that's all I got.
Yeah, we're done. We gotta get out of here.
Okay. While we go out here, I do want to tell you about this really cool thing, which will be our science update. Let's see. Okay, have you heard, what Alon is?
Tell me.
It's transparent aluminum.
No.
Yeah.
You mean from Star Trek?
Yes.
Remember, that was from the first one.
Exactly. And it's real. That was from Get Spock, or no, the Whales, Save the Whales, number 4.
Yes.
And so now what they do is they create like a little powdered mix of aluminum and some other shit, and then they compress it, but it turns out to be basically clear metal. And it's so instead of the 6 inches of glass, they can now do it in 1 inch.
Jesus.
So
I mean, of course, is it totally transparent?
Yes.
So they can now use those for the windows?
Yes, they're talking about it. Exactly.
I mean, because
the planes, windows.
Well, like on a Lear,
the
windows like that, it's
exactly.
like 4 inches thick.
Yeah, I got a sample right over here.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, and so now they can. That's the big thing, is how far is it going to go? But it's new tech and really cool. So that's super expensive right now, but you can, if you can make it, that's cool. So
Well, it'll be interesting to see. I remember when the first VCRs came out, or the microwaves were $1,200. VCRs were $1,000. I remember when the first my first digital camera, which did a 640 by 4. No, it didn't even do that much. It was 300. It was 300. What do you call it? 3 kilobytes or something of picture. It came out. It was a Kodak. It was $900, and that's the one I used to first. Well, this is when I was still on GE's. Not on. There was no eBay or anything, but you could still sell stuff on GE's, whatever they competed with AOL.
okay.
And I could sell stuff on that. This was before. This must have been 85 or something when the internet was there. I was using DSL, not 56K. Yeah, boy, that's the truth.
All right, we'll see you soon.